All right, let's jump straight in. Welcome to today's explainer. We're decoding something honestly kind of wild today. A global, millennial-old tradition that pretty much every single one of us grew up with, but very few of us actually stopped to really think about. We're talking about the global history of using talking animals to decode incredibly complex human behaviors. We're going to peel back the hidden layers of these classic stories and figure out what they actually teach us about loyalty, power, and, well, human nature itself. Which brings up a really great question. Why on earth do we use talking animals to teach human truths? I mean, think about it. Across thousands of years and across completely different cultures, humans have consistently relied on talking jackals, lions, crabs, and birds to pass down our absolute most crucial life lessons. It's actually the ultimate teaching hack. See, by taking humans out of the equation, we completely remove human biases. Our prejudices about appearance or class or background. Instead, we project pure, distilled traits right onto the animals. The fox, always cunning. The lion, always proud. It creates this perfect universal language. To really ground our explainer today, let's start with a baseline we've literally all heard a million times. A friend in need is a friend indeed. We're pulling this from a standard student essay framework from Vedantu, and honestly, it beautifully captures the absolute essence of genuine friendship. It sets a universal standard, right? True friendship isn't about hanging out during the good times. It's proven when things get incredibly tough. But as we're about to see, the ancient fables taught us that navigating friendships in the real world, well, it's rarely that simple. So let's get into section 1, educating the dud princes. We're shifting focus to ancient India to look at what is, without a doubt, one of the most brilliant and honestly hilarious origin stories in literary history. Picture this. The year is roughly 200 BC. You've got a very learned king named Amar Shakti, and he's facing a massive succession crisis. The problem? His three sons were, to put it bluntly, complete duds. They had zero intelligence, zero understanding, and absolutely zero interest in studying the complex sciences of governance. The king was absolutely terrified for the future of his kingdom, mostly because traditional education methods, which back then took over 12 years just to master basic grammar, were completely failing these kids. So trying to solve this, the frustrated king hires a brilliant 80-year-old scholar named Pandit Vishnu Sharma. And Sharma? He makes this massive, super confident bet. He promises the king that he can enlighten the minds of these clueless princes in just a fraction of the usual time. And get this, without using any dry, boring textbooks. His mission objective was seriously steep. Teach Niti Shastra in under 6 months. Niti Shastra is essentially a massive guide to wise conduct in life. It covers everything from political science and economics to deep human psychology. Doing that in 6 months? It was an impossible deadline. So how did Sharma actually pull it off? Well, he invented this incredibly engaging story within a story framework using, you guessed it, talking animals. He secretly taught the princes high-level political science and diplomacy by masking it all as entertaining animal fables. It was basically the ultimate educational Trojan horse. Which leads us to section 2, conflict amongst friends. In the very first book of these fables, the Panchatantra strips away the whole romanticized version of loyalty and dives straight into the complex, cynical realities of power. Let's meet the key players in our first major geopolitical drama, played out entirely by animals, of course. First up, we have Pingalaka, the incredibly powerful lion king of the jungle. Second, there's Sanjivaka. He's a domestic bullock who injured his leg and was abandoned in the jungle by his owner. But miraculously, he recovers, grows big and strong, and starts roaring incredibly loudly. And third, we have Damanaka, a super cunning jackal who actually used to be a minister to the lion but got fired. Now, the lion hears this echoing bellow from the bullock and is secretly terrified, convinced some massive monster has invaded his turf. And that fear? It creates the absolute perfect chaotic opportunity for our scheming jackal to swoop in and regain his lost power. So how exactly does Damanaka execute his strategy? Well, first he volunteers to go investigate this terrifying noise for the trembling Lion King. Step 2, he figures out it's literally just a grass-eating bullock making all that racket. But here's the catch. He definitely doesn't tell the lion that. In step 3, he goes all in on absolute deceit. He tells the bullock that the lion wants to eat him, but promises he'll protect him, while simultaneously telling the lion that the bullock has divine backing, but can be managed. Throughout all this, Dominica uses these nested fables, like a story about a foolish monkey pulling a wedge from a log and killing itself, to justify his meddling and completely manipulate the situation. He brings them together as friends at first, only to deliberately drive a huge wedge between them later, the second his own power feels threatened. And that brings us to a shockingly ruthless quote from the jackal himself. What cannot be achieved by force can be achieved through deceit. I mean, wow. Contrast that immediately with our earlier innocent proverb about a friend in need. Vishnu Sharma was teaching those young princes that in the real realm of statecraft and high-stakes survival, friendship is often totally transactional, and you have to be hyper-aware of manipulation and hidden agendas.
Okay, moving to section 3, Aesop versus the Jataka. Let's zoom out for a second to see how completely different ancient cultures use these exact same animal fables to achieve vastly different goals.
What's fascinating here is the profound cultural divide between these two traditions, based on a comparative study by the global academic and scientific publishers. On one side, we have the Buddhist Jataka tales. Their fables are all about karma, rebirth, and spiritual liberation. They use animals to emphasize these extreme virtues, like selfless charity and patience, essentially teaching you how to detach and leave the material world behind. But then look at the other side, the Greco-Roman Aesop's fables. They are intensely focused on present-day society. They teach practicality, prudence, and earthly success. Basically, Aesop teaches you how to win in this world, while the Jataka teaches you how to transcend it. The medium is exactly the same, talking animals, but the cultural coding, it's entirely opposite.
Section 4, the true meaning of friendship. Let's bring this explainer back down to earth for a minute and look at how more modern fables resolve these intense complexities of friendship we've been talking about. We're looking now at a really simple, traditional Hindi moral short story. Picture a parrot and a pigeon wandering in the jungle when suddenly they discover this glowing golden seed. Now, unlike those scheming jackals from the Panchatantra who would immediately try to trick each other to get it, these birds act completely differently. They flat out refuse to fight over it. They agree they need to find the true owner, so they take it straight to the Lion King. And the lion is just so stunned by their total transparency and honesty that he ends up rewarding them both. His final verdict is simple but profound. Truth is the most valuable treasure. He declares the golden seed belongs to both of them because their honesty was the real prize all along. It's just a really beautiful, straightforward reinforcement of the purity of friendship, completely stripping away all that Machiavellian politics we saw earlier. But, friendship isn't just about sharing golden treasures. It's about surviving actual hardships together. Let's look at another popular Hindi story featuring these exact two birds. They have completely different personalities. The parrot is super talkative, quick, and clever. The pigeon, on the other hand, is quiet, calm, and highly sensible. When a devastating storm suddenly hits the jungle, it's only by combining these exact differing strengths that they actually manage to survive. The parrot's quick reflexes find them a safe hollow in a tree, while the pigeon's calm demeanor keeps them from totally panicking. It just proves that in true friendship, having diverse strengths makes the partnership infinitely stronger. Which connects us right back to our original baseline. Looking at the key traits of true friendship pulled from that Vedantu educational breakdown, we see exactly what the pigeon and parrot embodied. A real friend provides emotional comfort in a storm. They offer practical help when you desperately need shelter. They stand by you when the fake friends completely disappear. They share the joys of a golden seed and the sorrows of a dark storm equally. They act with complete selflessness, totally rejecting the toxic deceit of the Panchatantra's jackal. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. Take a second to look at your own circle of friends through the lens of these ancient, powerful fables. Ask yourself, are you surrounded by selfless pigeons who combine their strengths with yours to weather the storm? Or are you secretly sharing your jungle with a bunch of scheming jackals just waiting to pull the wedge out of the log? It's a centuries-old question, but finding the right answer might just be the wisest conduct of all. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.